1994 Integra GSR B18C1. It's been down for a couple months. I've been installing the Rywire harness, and I have that pretty much, taped up and loomed up and all that. Why don't I give you guys a quick preview of that, and then we can get to installing the brand new knock sensor I have on this, and maybe possibly start it up at the end of this video. Who knows? We'll see how far I get. All right, guys. So if you've been following me, you know that I bought a Rywire engine harness for this car. And I have basically installed it. I clipped it all into, all the appropriate spots. You can see it running right here, and then it goes underneath there, makes the connections. The injectors come actually right through the holes of the intake manifold, connect through there, and yeah, it's pretty slick. It's really lightweight and nice design. It's the wires are even labeled, but anyways, I also reinstalled the fuse box right here, and I need to make the starter and the alternator connections. I got the charge harness option whenever I bought the Rywire harness. So this is the wire that connects to the alternator. You can see it's labeled right there. So it goes from the alternator right there on the alternator. You can see there's the electrical plug or the harness plug. So it goes from there, and then I'm going to route it underneath the intake manifold to the fuse box right over there. So I still have to do that wire. I did have to cut into the driver's side harness just a little bit. I did buy some extra loom. I have it loomed up, and then if you follow it right there, you can see two gray plugs. Those connect to the Rywire harness, and then I have it kind of snaked behind there on the firewall, and then it ends up to the passenger side grommet where it goes into the engine cabin. So these two are the Rywire harness. Again, they're kind of snaked along there, zip tied, so they stay in place. They go along in here, and here's the other main harness that goes to things, such as like the ABS and all the headlights, all those other options. So I actually bought a shrink wrap for that type of stuff. This is what it looks like right here. So it says that this is pretty heavy duty. It's all right, but I also got some harness electrical tape. So this is the tape I bought that I wrapped the engine loom with. It's actually wiring harness tape. It says it has a strong chemical resistance, and the adhesive isn't too bad, and it's pretty strong stuff. Works really well. I wrapped this type of loom in that on this part of the wiring harness that goes into the engine cabin, just because if this, if I need to slide this in and out a little bit, then it's just some added protection to where it all stays together. So this little section from there and then into the cabin, I went ahead and double wrapped that. So actually, let me give you guys a little show of what's inside here. This is the interior of my car. Obviously, I have my dash out. Yep, I have some of the HVAC components out right here, like the blower fan and stuff. The blower fan is over there. I cleaned that up. That was really nasty. So, yeah. And here's what I'm looking at. This is a lot of wires, but here are the two Rywire harnesses. I have everything connected. Connection there. These go to the ECU, and then these two wires actually connect to the original plugs that connected to the ECU. And then I kind of took some of my harness wire, or my wire loom, and just kind of re-loomed a little bit of it. I'm still not 100% done, but I think I'm about ready to hook this up. I really want to start this car and see if it actually runs better. So anyways, that's what it looks like inside the car. So that was just a little overview of what I've done and the status of this car currently. Right now, I am focusing on this guy right here. This is a brand new knock sensor. My other one broke in two, so I need to go ahead and install this. This is pretty straightforward. You can't even see it from above the engine, and really you can't hardly even see it from below the engine, but it's basically underneath the intake manifold, right in about this location and on the block. So in order to install that NOx sensor, you do have to basically blindly put your hand in through this way and squeeze it all the way in there and try to find where it goes into the engine block and screw it in there. I think it's torqued down to 23 foot-pounds if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not gonna film that because, you know, as I said, I basically just told you how to do it and there's nothing really to show on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the NOx sensor now, and I'll get back to you guys whenever I have that in. All right guys, I'm at the fuse box right here, and I have connected, this is the alternator wire that was supplied, well actually that I bought with the Rywire harness. You can see it says alternator right there. So now I just have this long wire connected to the fuse box. All right, you can see my Rywire alternator wire hooked up. I ran it underneath the intake manifold, and then it comes up over the T-bracket behind these brake lines near the Rywire harness, and then this is the battery holder right here. It goes underneath the battery holder, comes out a little hole down there, and then this is it. I kind of snaked it to where it's up against the wall a little bit here because it's underneath the brake line down there, and then it just goes right into the fuse box in there. Also hooked up this one right here. This one I believe goes to, well, it goes to the positive side of the terminal right there. And so yeah, I am done with the fuse box. All of this is good to go. I just need to put the cap on that, and I need to hook up the NOx sensor harness to my brand new NOx sensor, put in my battery, hook up the battery, and fingers crossed, hopefully this thing will start. All right guys, I am here for part 2. This part is about my 1994 Integra GSR. Well, I have been working on it the past couple weeks, and I have an update for you guys. I remember in the last video that I posted, I said that I could not install this NOx sensor in because there was not enough room. Well, I was going to show you exactly why not, but yeah, I went ahead and took out the entire GSR intake manifold. As you can see right here, it is obviously completely open. And the thing was, my whole original, you know, reason why I wanted to take off or why I needed to take off the intake manifold is because the only way that you could get the NOx sensor, which plugs into the block right down there, I couldn't get a deep socket. It requires a large deep socket to fit in there. And so I had to slide my hand under here and through here and to get it onto there. Well, the deep socket wouldn't go onto the NOx sensor because this hose right here, I'm gonna have to remove this hose. It just would not fit. And then along with my ratchet to break it loose and torque it down, or to tighten it up and to torque it down, it would just, the tool would not fit. There was not a way that I could get it in there with my set of tools. So I had to take off the intake manifold. And you know what, to me that's, although it was a ton of work and some blood and time definitely came out of that, it's not a bad thing. I actually, you know, the whole reason for me doing all this work on this Integra is because it has some problems. And well, while I have all this stuff off, I am going to try to address those problems. You guys can see right here, this is a PCV valve. It is a Honda OEM one that I replaced it whenever I first got the car, which is almost 3 years ago. And then I have the breather box, which goes on the, this end right here goes on the back of the block. Well, this thing had a very good amount of oil in it whenever I took it off. I believe my car is having some blow by from what I hear. That is normal for, you know, high mileage VTEC engine, older VTEC engines. So I guess that's all right, but while I have all the intake manifold off, it was very easy to get this off. So I went ahead and did all the bolts that were holding this on and all that. I'm gonna clean this up. I've not touched this stuff since I've taken it off, but I already bought new grommets for this, a new PCV valve. Here is the hose that connects to it, and then also a little like a little bracket in between that actually broke off in the hose. So I'm basically refreshing the whole PCV system while I have it out with all the hardware I just said. So that goes into the block. Let me get my flashlight. That goes into the block right down in there. And I need to clean my block up as well. I'll probably get the pressure washer in here after I plug up some of these holes and the intake manifold ports. The reason why I really want to refresh this, not only to simply refresh it and obviously get a new O-ring so that doesn't leak oil, is because, well, number one, here, this PCV valve seems bad, right? You're supposed to hear a clicking noise whenever you shake these back and forth. Nah, yeah, not really. That PCV valve could be bad, but also all these little connections, like look, I broke that off trying to get in. All these are extremely hard plastic, which have gone through, you know, thousands of heat cycles. And this hose is extremely brittle. That broke off into the hose. That little piece, that's not supposed to be in there. So all these little tidbits of the PCV valve system definitely need to be refreshed. Anyways, let's move on. So I'm refreshing that. Whenever I took off the GSR intake manifold, this is a little filter that goes on the IAB, let's see, intake air bypass system. I broke this all apart, by the way, trying to get this apart, which is fine because I may be replacing that big hunk of thing right there with something else. More to come in the future, stay tuned. But anyways, for now, let's talk about this. I posted a picture or a few pictures on my Instagram about this, and be sure to follow me on that. But okay, I did this because I was trying to break this apart and get a little internal view, but haven't done that quite yet, been successful with that. But these cracks right here, I did not do. This little sensor here that was on the IAB system tank, these cracks are not normal. Also, this little filter goes on that end, and the little filter, look, those cracks, that's not normal. So I wonder, somebody tell me, you know, I guess this could be a possibility of a vacuum leak, right? I mean, come on, this is part of the intake system. Here is the tank. Yeah, this goes on to the intake manifold under here. So here's my old GSR tank. I also posted that there was little pools of oil in my intake manifold. Obviously, it's upside down now, but yeah, there was little pools of oil, so I guess that has to do with the PCV valve system or, you know, just blow by in the engine in general. But yeah, look how dirty it is in there. There's some nice little carbon, you know, build up in there and oil and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to replace this with something better that won't have the opportunity for all these stupid, you know, leaks, vacuum leaks. All of this is just, you know, probable cause for a vacuum leak. All right, guys. So yeah, there's my little toolbox of parts from the Integra. While I'm in here, I'm going to replace all these coolant hoses. I did look it up, and actually all of them except for like one, you know, discontinued. So that's unfortunate. I'm talking about these three hoses right here. 1, 2, 3. Those hoses, only one of them are Honda's still making them. I did get one from Rock Auto, which won't be OEM obviously, but that's okay. And then all these heater hoses, 1, 2, and then this long one right here, I am replacing those. I was lucky enough to get those from Honda. Yeah, while I'm in there, it's a good idea to replace this, but I also want to, you can't really see, but this one, whenever you start the car, this kind of gets a big bubble in it, and this one is could burst. So yeah, while I'm in there refreshing all this up, I really hope that I can get this engine running great again, because I'm putting, you know, a lot of time and money into an engine that is currently not running correctly. I really would like to get it up to par, because since I am replacing this intake manifold with something better, and of course provide more performance, hint hint, I really hope I can get this engine going, because I'm, like I said, man, this is a lot of time and money put into an engine that isn't running correctly, you know, currently. I really hope I can find this problem. Obviously, I'm going to get some gasket remover, remove this old intake manifold gasket. This is on there extremely well. Like it is like burnt and crusted and baked on there. So I'm going to have to get some of that like Permatex gasket remover. waiting on that. But anyways, oh, and by the way, okay, I'll save the new parts for a different video, but that's going to be pretty exciting. My fuel line and injectors are just sitting over here. So they're just chilling for the moment. Let's see, what else can I talk about here? Once I get it running, that guy will also be replaced, waiting on that. Also I got all new hardware in that. So yeah, I just have like this big pile of parts for this car, but it's so sad because it's not running correctly. Anyways, okay, so that's about the Integra parts so far. Let me talk about other stuff such as the wiring harness, the Rywire wiring harness. I think it's great. It looks great. It's definitely a little lighter than the original OEM one. It's very clean. Couple things about it. This guy right here, this is the VTEC oil pressure switch. The Rywire harness does not have a plug for that, and I looked it up. I guess you just delete it. So you take off this sensor, which obviously I haven't done yet, and you put a plug in it, which I bought. This is a Speed Factory Racing one. This is a titanium plug. It's supposed to be really high quality, so I'm gonna plug it with that, and then you cross some wires on the ECU, and then the ECU just thinks that it's there. Be aware of that. Also, another reason why I want to replace the intake manifold on this car is because of the IAB system not only having, possible vacuum leaks, but also because the Rywire harness does not have a plug to plug into the IAB system. I could run some wire and use my old plug and run it to the ECU and run it to a constant 12-volt source, but if I don't have to do that, then that's some work saved that I don't have to do there. So there's that. Oh, and this is the ground kit from Rywire. This really isn't a good length. This is quite a long wire. I think this should be at least maybe 4 inches shorter. So there's that. And then the same thing on the wire that connects to the alternator, and then the ground wire that connects to the transmission, that is like twisted like 2 times underneath the car. These are way too long. Why Rywire has them like that, but I had to twist this thing like twice. This thing is like 6 inches too long, and that one's like at least 4 inches too long. So not too thrilled about that, but hey, I guess it still works. I'll run it for now. But anyways, so that's a little update on the Rywire harness and where I'm at with this car. Guys, please wish me luck, pray for me, whatever you want to do. Send me good vibes in the comments because, man, I want this car to run great. I want to show you guys not this, oh, it's still running bad, I spent this amount of money, I can't fix it. I have a header sitting right there. I have more parts on the way. Like, I want to build the head on this car. Like, I want to make some power with this car. If I'm putting all this money into it, it's going to have to be tuned anyways because of me changing out the the intake manifold. So I want to build this car. I want to make some little bit of power out of this thing. I'm not looking for a horsepower number. I'm not looking for a track number. I want it to just be fun. I want an aggressive, VTEC crossover. What these cars are known for. I want to just rip on this car. But anyways, please, send me some good vibes. Give me a thumbs up because, man, I need it. I'm kind of down in the dumps about this car. I want it to run well, but thanks for watching, guys.
Honda.